Marvel Superheroes is almost here, Magic the Gathering's newest set, and if you are interested in getting to play it before anyone else, all you have to do is go down to your local game store and play Prerelease, one of my favorite events in all of Magic. A pre-release event is the absolute best way to experience a brand new set. It's a fun, exciting, and welcoming environment to players of all experience levels. Whether you're brand new because you're a Marvel fan who's trying out Magic the Gathering for the first time, or you've been playing for years, a returning player who's just excited to play with the new summer set, pre-release is the right event for you. Pre-release events are a form of sealed tournament where you receive a pre-release kit, usually containing 6 sealed packs of the newest set, as well as 1 promo card, and a 20-sided spin-down die for tracking your life total. Using this kit and as many basic lands from your local game store's basic land station as you'd like, you'll build a deck of 40 cards to battle against other players who also built decks out of their pre-release kits. Now, if you've never ever been to a pre-release event before, I highly encourage you to check out my beginner's guide to how to build a sealed deck. That's the type of deck you'll be building at pre-release. I'm going to link that video in this video's description. In it, we cover everything you need to know to play sealed or pre-release for the very first time. It's also a great video if you're bringing a friend with you. This video will assume you already know the basics of how to build a sealed deck, and will instead focus on the specifics of how to build a successful sealed deck for Marvel Superheroes pre-release. We will cover everything you need to know to take your pre-release experience to the next level and maybe even take home a win. I'm going to cover the set's mechanics, its archetypes, and highlight some key cards to be aware of when looking through your sealed pool. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's jump right in. And remember, pre-release events are fun, but you do need to concentrate on the cards, on the gameplay in front of you, so be sure to get a good night's sleep. If you're not getting a good night's sleep, ask yourself, why not? There's a lot of factors that can contribute to a bad night's sleep, but chief among them is a bad mattress. That's why this video is sponsored by Helix Sleep, makers of some of the best mattresses out there. Seriously, how long has it been since you've gotten a new mattress, and how long has it been since you've gotten a good night's sleep? The two just might correlate. Has it been so long since you've gotten a new mattress just because it's a real pain in the butt to go shopping for a new mattress? I agree, it's crazy that you actually haggle like you're buying a used car for a mattress. But with Helix, you get the mattress delivered right to your door. It comes rolled up in a box, it's very easy to set up. Just take their sleep quiz, which will match you to the perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. And I literally sleep on a Helix mattress, and it literally did contribute to me getting a better night's sleep. My whole life was defined by difficulty falling asleep and difficulty staying asleep, and Helix really made a big difference with that. And if you really want to bring your sleep to the next level, check out the Helix pillows. You'll be getting a durable pillow that uses premium memory foam, which keeps its shape and feel over time. Talk about another way to a good night's sleep. How about being supported by a pillow with shredded memory foam that shapes to your body with just enough structure? Oh, these things are so comfortable. Helix really are the best type of mattresses to buy. And if you don't agree, you don't have to worry, because Helix offers a 120-night sleep trial to test out the mattress and ensure you love it. Also, all Helix mattresses come with a limited lifetime warranty. So if you are interested in a better night's sleep, just go to helixsleep.com/Tolarian to take advantage of their 4th of July sale and get 20% off site-wide. Or just scan the QR code or follow the links in this video description. And be on the lookout for additional sales on that Helix site. Thank you, Helix, for sponsoring this video. The first thing to do when approaching a new set is to take a look at that set's mechanics. The mechanics are the building blocks that the set's designers use to construct a limited environment. The better you understand the mechanics of a set, the easier it will be to evaluate whether a card in your pool is right for your deck. Marvel Superheroes has several new and returning mechanics. We'll cover both of these in this section. Power Up. The marquee mechanic of the set is Power Up. This is a mechanical depiction of a powerful hero or villain tapping into their full strength later on in a fight. Power Up is an activated ability on creatures that can be used only once per game, similar to the Exhaust mechanic introduced in Aether Drift. The ability has a unique quirk though compared to Exhaust. If If you activate the ability the same turn the creature entered, you may reduce its cost by the creature's mana cost. That includes the colored mana in that cost. If a creature has a mana cost of red and a power-up cost of 4 in a red, then the turn you play that creature, the power-up cost will only cost 4 generic mana. Power-up is essentially a form of kicker.
Yeah, that's kicker. Everything's kicker.
Except that you can wait to pay the cost to get the weaker version of the creature out sooner. It also means you don't have to pay the kicker cost until you know the creature has resolved. This makes power-up much better against counter magic than kicker is. If you can afford to wait, it's much more mana efficient to cast the creature when you have enough mana to power it up immediately. But that doesn't mean you should pass without making a play if you have a power-up creature in hand that you can run out without its power-up. It just means if you're deciding between 2 creatures with equal mana value to cast, and one of them has a power-up ability and the other doesn't, you'll often be better off playing the one who doesn't and saving the other for a later turn. Teamwork. The next new mechanic we'll cover is Teamwork. Teamwork is an optional kicker-style cost associated with instants and sorceries that depict heroes or villains working together to boost their combined strength. To pay for Teamwork, tap any number of creatures with total power equal to or greater than the number in the card's Teamwork cost. When you do this, the spell becomes significantly more powerful than it is without the Teamwork cost. Teamwork cards are generally a little below rate when cast without the Teamwork, but are well above rate when cast with Teamwork. Remember, you can tap a summoning sick creature to pay for a Teamwork cost. Plan. The final new mechanic for the set is Plan. Plan cards are enchantments that trigger from certain conditions being met. Whenever a plan triggers, it gets a plan counter. Then, when it reaches a certain threshold of plan counters, the plan sacrifices itself and you get an even more powerful additional effect, as described on the card. Plans are a great source of ongoing advantage. They're risky cards to include in your deck, however, because they are very bad top decks in the late game. They need other things going on around them in order to do anything at all themselves. That said, most plans have both solid triggered effects and an outstanding payoff for completing them. So don't be afraid to run a couple in your deck if you open them. Just don't run more than 2 or maybe 3. Connive. Connive returns from its most recent appearance in the last Marvel set, Spider-Man. Just as with Spider-Man, Connive is an ability affiliated with villains. To connive, draw a card and discard a card. If you discard an on-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on the creature that connived. Connive serves a lot of different roles in Marvel Superheroes Limited. It's a valuable source of card selection, a discard outlet, and a way to trigger your draw your second card a turn cards, a trigger that appears on many villains in the set. Transforming modal double-faced cards. Next up, we have another mechanic that returns from Marvel's Spider-Man, transforming modal double-faced cards. These cards feature superheroes that can be cast for their weaker and cheaper alter egos on the front side, or for their fully powered super selves on the back side. You can also cast the front side, then later pay the cost of the flip side in order to transform the creature into its super version. Sagas. Sagas, which are one of my favorite, if not absolute favorite mechanics from the newer era of Magic the Gathering, are back once again in Marvel's Superheroes. Sagas are enchantments that tell an ongoing story through card mechanics. When they enter play, and at the beginning of your first main phase, add a lore counter to the saga, and then trigger that saga's effect. When the final lore counter is added, the saga sacrifices itself. Harness. The final returning mechanic is only relevant if you are lucky enough to open the Mind Stone in your pool. Harness is a mechanic that only appears on Infinity Stones as a means of turning the stone into its fully powered version. To harness the Mind Stone, pay 6 mana and tap it. From that point onward, the Mind Stone is harnessed and its Infinity ability is online. Archetypes. Now, the best pre-release decks are more than the sum of their parts. The more your cards can work together to make each other stronger, the more powerful your overall deck will be. The designers of each limited set build synergistic archetypes into the card pool for each 2-color pair. Not every card in each color will fit into every archetype involving the card's colors. In other words, a red common in your pool may be great in a black-red deck, but not good in red-green. By understanding what each archetype is trying to do, you'll be better at identifying which cards in your deck's colors you actually want to include. The white-blue deck in Marvel's superheroes is Teamwork Tempo, designed to maximize your teamwork spells. The Signpost Uncommon, Captain America Living Legend, is a well-statted 3/4 that helps mitigate the drawback of teamwork spells. Whenever a creature you control becomes tapped for the first time on your turn, untap it. This ability allows you to both pay a teamwork cost and attack with your creatures, or simply pay for multiple teamwork costs with the same creatures. The only explicit low-rarity teamwork enabler in these colors is Agent Maria Hill, a powerful 1-drop that gets bigger and draws you cards whenever you use her to pay for a teamwork cost. You can also enable up-tempo teamwork through token generation. Vigilance is an important keyword to this archetype, as it allows you to attack first and then pay teamwork costs later. The blue-black deck is a connive deck designed to trigger cards that track when you've drawn your second card in a turn. The Signpost Uncommon is Kang, Temporal Tyrant, a 3/4 for 4 that connives whenever he attacks. Also, whenever you draw your second card in a turn, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. There are tons of solid, low-rarity connive creatures in blue and black. The most powerful of these is Baron Strucker, a 3-mana 2/2 that reduces the cost of your villains and lets one per turn connive when it enters play. Madame Mask is a great payoff for drawing 2 cards in a turn, generating a 2/1 villain with Menace whenever you do so. The black-red deck is a villain deck with a sacrifice sub-theme, Villain Sacrifice. Madame Hydra is the Signpost Uncommon, a 4-mana creature with modest stats that pumps out a villain token whenever you cast a villain's spell. Madame Hydra is a must-answer threat in a black-red deck, as once she starts generating a wide board, it becomes difficult to answer her cleanly. Kingpin's Enforcers is a key common to this archetype, a potent lifelinker that's great at either attacking or blocking. Kingpin's Enforcers also provides a powerful sack outlet for 3 mana. Yellow Jacket, Heartless Marauder, is also an excellent creature for this deck for its evasion and lifelink. Keep in mind that Yellow Jacket triggers every time a villain you control enters, not just the first time. So the more villains that enter play on your turn, the more lifelink damage you'll attack with in the air. The red-green deck is a stompy deck that maximizes the power-up mechanic. The Signpost Uncommon is Hulk, Gamma Goliath, a 6/5 for 5 with Reach and Trample. He makes power-up abilities of your other creatures cost 3 generic less to activate, and he has a power-up of his own for 6 generic and 1 of each red and green. Wonder Man, Hollywood Hero, is a key uncommon for the archetype, allowing you to power up your creatures an additional time. It's also valuable to open a couple copies of Undercover Skrull for its mana ramp and fixing. I'm also a huge fan of Abomination, Terrifying Titan, a powerful removal spell on a massive stick that gets even better when Hulk's power-up discount ability is in play. The green-white deck is a go-wide deck built around heroes, essentially the ontological opposite of the black-red deck. The Signpost Uncommon is Black Panther, Vanguard, a 4/4 for 4 that triggers whenever a non-token hero you control enters. Black Panther either makes a 1/1 soldier token, or he gives all your creatures +1/+1 until end of turn. Okoye Dora Melage Leader is an exceptional 4-mana uncommon in green-white. Not only does she generate 2 additional bodies all on her own, but she provides all the creature tokens you create with First Strike, making them formidable attackers. I also love the plan Political Triumph in this deck. It's cheap, it helps smooth your draws, and its final ability is both powerful and easy to reach. The white-black deck focuses on spies from both Hydra and Shield. This deck wants you to attack alone with a single creature, which then gets all sorts of buffs and other benefits from the rest of your board. The Signpost Uncommon is Black Widow, Double Agent, a 3/2 Death Toucher for 3 mana that grants a creature attacking alone, Menace, and First Strike. Luke Cage, Power Man, is one of your best low-rarity creatures at attacking alone, as he gets more powerful and grants himself indestructible when he does so. Hydra Infiltration is a nice play at 4 mana, stripping your opponent's hand of resources and providing you with life drain whenever a creature attacks alone. Equipment like Shield, Spy Kit, or Iron Man armor are excellent in this deck as well, as they make the single creature you attack with even stronger. The black-green deck is Graveyard Creatures, a mid-range deck aiming to get a couple creatures in your graveyard to power up many of your other cards. The signpost uncommon is Killmonger, Scourge of Wakanda, a 3/3 for 4 that can destroy a non-land permanent when he enters if you sacrifice another creature to do so. As long as there are 2 or more creatures in your graveyard, Killmonger gets +2/+1. There are many creatures in black and green that get better when 2 or more creature cards are in your graveyard. To enable this without simply having your creatures die, you can discard creatures to connive abilities or simply mill them over with cards like Hydra Troopers or Rapid Rescue. Hydra Troopers is an obscene card once you have 2 creatures in your yard, as 5 power for 3 mana across 2 bodies is just a ridiculous rate. The green-blue deck in Marvel Superheroes is a value-oriented +1/+1 counters deck. The signpost uncommon is Ant-Man, Colony Commander, a 3-mana 2/2 that can add a +1/+1 counter to a creature whenever he attacks. Once per turn, when you add a +1/+1 counter to a creature, Ant-Man also creates a 1/1 insect token. The simple way to add +1/+1 counters to creatures is with their power-up abilities, meaning green-blue is effectively a second power-up deck like red-green. But there are other ways to add +1/+1 creatures as well. Blue creatures that can connive, for instance, can add counters to themselves. And multiple green spells at low rarities add +1/+1 counters, such as Restorative Technique and Go Nuts. The blue-red deck in Marvel Superheroes centers around artifacts. The signpost uncommon is Iron Man, Master of Machines, a 4-mana 1/4 with flying and vigilance. He gets +1/+0 for each other artifact you control, and he draws a card when he attacks if an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Hydra Assault Robot is one of the best enablers and payoffs for this deck, both because it triggers when artifacts enter and because it itself is an artifact creature. Stark Industries Executive can generate artifacts through treasure tokens, and Futurist Forge is a nice form of card advantage that also provides an artifact for as long as it's in play. Finally, we have the red-white deck. Red-white is an aggro deck centered around casting non-creature spells, especially ones that target your own creatures. The signpost uncommon is Thor, Odin's son, a massive flying beater with 2 instances of prowess. Balancing how many spells and especially pump spells you run with how many creatures you play is an important aspect of this deck. I would try very hard to run no fewer than 15 creatures in your red-white deck, though this includes non-creature spells that create creatures, such as Burrow Backup. Quake, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is an awesome payoff for casting non-creature spells, keeping your opponent off balance while you push forward for damage. Hybrid cards. The last thing to keep in mind when building around an archetype are the hybrid cards in this set. Each color pair has a hybrid uncommon. These cards are more open-ended than the true gold uncommon in the pair, as they are designed to fit not only within their own color pair, but all adjacent pairs as well. In other words, Ghost Spectral Saboteur is not only a solid card in blue-black, but is great at enabling the attack alone cards in white-black as well. This is to say, you should make sure to take stock of the hybrid cards in your pool, especially the ones in color pairs that touch one of your deck's 2 colors. You may find some hidden gems among them. Mana fixing. Mana fixing is an important element of a good sealed deck. The better your mana is, the more reliably you can cast your spells, and the more capable you are of splashing off-color bombs. There are many powerful multicolored cards in Marvel Superheroes worth splashing. Adequate mana fixing is the difference maker between whether or not you can afford to splash off-color bombs that you open. Fortunately, there are lots of forms of mana fixing in Marvel's superheroes. This includes the new cycle of rare dual lands in ally colors. These lands are untapped sources of colored mana provided they either entered this turn or you control a basic land. Otherwise, they only tap for colorless mana. But the 2 forms of fixing I'm going to focus on in this section are both at common. and therefore more likely to appear in your pool. The first is gain lands, a recurring staple of limited formats. These lands are an excellent source of fixing in limited. You should run as many on-color gain lands as you can, and you should gladly use these lands to help you splash powerful cards in their colors. The other cycle of mana fixers is arguably even better. Basic land cyclers. All 5 colors have a common that can be cycled for a basic land for 2 generic mana. A couple of basic land cyclers in your primary colors and a single off-color basic provide you with 3 sources of your splash color without much downside at all. The best of these cards is easily Burrow Backup, a double token maker for 5 mana. But all 5 of these land cyclers are worth running if you're in their colors. Key creatures. Knowing the difference between a card that is excellent versus one that is just okay goes a long way toward deciding what to build with your pool. A big component of this is identifying when you've opened a bomb and making a concerted effort to build a deck that optimizes that bomb, but it also matters at low rarities as well. In Marvel's superheroes, every single uncommon creature is a legend. That means the legend rule is going to have a significant impact on the texture of this limited environment. As a general rule of thumb, I do not recommend running more than 2 copies of the same legend, even if you happen to open 3 or more. Most uncommon monocolored legends in the set are significantly stronger in one archetype than the other, but each color has at least one uncommon legend that is strong enough to transcend archetype. Some of the commons also play into archetypal strategies, but as a rule, all common creatures in the set are generic enough to be worth running in decks that can cast them regardless of the archetype you're in. In this section, I'll highlight the best creatures at each rarity for each color. White's best and most flexible common creature across archetypes is Raft Security Officer, a flexible tapper that works well on both defense and offense. At uncommon, Okoye Dora Melage Leader is the strongest archetype-agnostic white creature for the sheer amount of power and number of bodies she brings with her. White has many powerful rares, but the 2 strongest are Agent Phil Coulson, an outstanding 2-drop in any hero-heavy deck, in other words, basically any white deck, and Captain Marvel, Earth's protector, a massive flying and lifelinking flash threat. Blue's strongest common is Shield Development Drone. 3 power for 3 mana across 2 bodies, one of which is a 2/2 flying artifact creature. At uncommon, Justice Vance Atrovic is an outstanding Mana War variant that also flies, and even has an added benefit if you use it to bounce one of your own permanents. Blue's strongest standalone rares are Leader, Super Genius, and Namor the Submariner. Leader certainly loves having a lot of connive in your deck, but even on his own he draws 2 and discards 1 every turn, including the turn he comes down, with the potential to grow if you discard non-lands. Namor the Submariner is a must-kill threat that will quickly pump out a wide board if you have other blue cards in your deck. In black, the common with the highest ceiling is Hydra Troopers. Even with the token entering tapped, a full-value Hydra Troopers offers absurd board presence for a 3-mana common. At uncommon, Claw, Sonic Subjugator, is excellent regardless of your archetype, as every black deck will have enough creatures to make the disruption he provides worthwhile. Black's rares, however, are not its strong suit in this format. Super Skrull is the strongest rare creature, but it has some strict mana requirements and requires you to play several colors to get the most out of his abilities. Black's mythics are a different story. All 3 mythics are excellent cards, but the best of them is Dr. Doom, a card advantage engine and army in a can all wrapped up in a single card. I like a lot of Red's common creatures, but my favorite of them is Stark Industries Executive, a cheap treasure maker that can start producing treasures as early as turn 2. But the best of the uncommons is good old trustworthy Loki, who is fantastic when paired with another great red common, Lightning Strike, because he makes a pair of lightning strikes. Red's rares are also a bit underwhelming. The best creature among them is Hawkeye, Master Marksman, whose stat line is great and who can provide a bit of utility whenever he gets tapped. Avengers, Disassembled, is also a powerful 3-mana sweeper for more controlling red decks. At Mythic, Thor, God of Thunder, is one of the best cards in the set, a powerful flying threat that turns your spells into supercharge mode. I like a lot of green's commons, but my favorite is Undercover Skrull, a 2-mana dork that taps for any color and can become a 2-mana 3/3 later in the game. At uncommon, Khazar of the Savage Land is a great source of card advantage that provides a lot of stats for a single card. I'm not thrilled with green's mythics, but the color has 2 phenomenal rares. The unbeatable Squirrel Girl lives up to her name if she's not answered quickly, generating a huge army of squirrels if you're able to untap with her. Mole Man, Moloid Master, is a great way to replay any lands you mill or discard to connive, and start pumping out creature tokens every turn if he's left alone. You know, whether you are here because of Marvel or you've been here for many years, I really hope you go down to your local game store to play in Prerelease. It is one of the best events. It is where new and old player, casual and enthusiast alike can sit down to have a great time playing this game. Now, if you would like to see me play in a pre-release event of my own, we do pre-release episodes of Shuffle Up and Play. Linked in this video's description are 2 of my favorites. Our most recent pre-release episode for Secrets of Strixhaven and a flashback to Edge of Eternities. Both of these videos, as well as all of my videos, are hopefully fun and educational, and they are all linked in this video's description.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
What's up? It's Shuffle Up and Play with fans. We are playing with fan decks. Also, we're playing with a very special guest.
I'm Mark Rosewater. I'm the head designer for Magic the Gathering.
30 years, and you have not killed it yet.
I keep trying every year.
I know you do.
This goal of destroying Magic, Mark, you're not delivering, so.
And the angel's gonna hit. Down to 6.
Down to 6.
Hey! Blood for the Blood God.
Uh-oh. So the cynical loner is coming at Mark.
I will take 3 cynicism.
So we're doing a fair, logical attack here. Would you agree, Mr. Rosewater? This is logic. This is gameplay.
It's actually politics.
How is that politics?